the First Gen Fellows, you had that sign up there or that slide that said SAFC. Have you got funding from them or something, or are you going to ask funding for them?
Yes, you have. Yeah, so we, SAFC does fund First Gen Fellows because we are a student organization, and so, yeah.
So originally my name's Christy Soriano Nocita. I'm the First Generation Fellows Advisor. And originally the group was a registered student organization. They most recently went to special allocations and received funding from SAFC. First Generation Fellows was also started off as the student support programs, and then the students changed it to First Generation Fellows. Does that help answer the question?
Other questions? Oh.
So that one isn't going to amplify, but it's only going to go to the counter.
Oh, okay.
They still have to use it.
Yeah. Comments, questions?
I had the pleasure of going to one of the Roots of Changes events, and so what is in the future for you guys? What's going to be? What are you going to build on?
Oh, here we go. That is an excellent question. Because there are so many folks now involved in the planning of that, there have been a couple different directions that the larger group is kind of focusing on new initiatives. And so Roots of Change is kind of in a transitionary period right now where maybe the workshops as they have existed previously may or may not continue, but maybe focusing on different avenues to kind of build that culture of empathy. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say leaving space for things like the workshops that Jane and Richard and yourself are working on, and there's been some chat about like a common book and things like that. So leaving space for those things to happen, I think having more voices and more people speaking on this, I mean, really relates back to the culture part as well. Like we want this to just be sort of an ingrained piece of people's everyday interaction. So I see that as a positive thing, that it's sort of morphing into more things across campus. Yeah.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Jeremy, I was hoping you could just say just one or two words about what you guys in the staff association are doing around some culture issues, survey and professional development, that kind of thing.
So I'm Jeremy Hamoka. I serve as the chair for the staff association here on campus. This year we've been, actually over the past year or 2 years, we've been trying to go through some rebranding, not being just party planners, and doing a little bit more for staff. So we've been hosting some workshops recently. Just most recently on Friday of last week, we had about 30 staff attend a just design basics workshop that was hosted by the folks out of marketing and creative services, which was awesome. Really, really positive feedback from that. We recently hosted another workshop with 2 faculty around how to use improv in your day-to-day job on campus and just in life and holding conversation with people. And then the other big thing that we're doing right now, we're getting ready to launch. We have a every other year kind of staff satisfaction survey that we do. We're getting ready to launch the next iteration of that. And we've actually been working with our strategic planning friends to add some questions around culture and equity to that will tie to the strategic plan as well. And the hope is that eventually we'll potentially have years and years and years of longitudinal data from this survey that started back in 2011. Now. So we're coming up to, I think, our 4th iteration of it. So that will be launching very soon. If you're a staff member, you will see that coming out.
Thank you.
I'm kind of curious about next steps for some of these, because in our impact goal, the 5th one in our book, it doesn't talk about getting part of our campus to be more respectful, productive, inclusive. I think it assumes all of our campus over time gets more that way. So most of these things we've talked about today are volunteer type things. You put it out there and hope that people will come. I'd be curious about what are the next steps to make some of these workshops and opportunities more required or expected for people. Maybe that's me.
So as the co-champion of culture and also somebody who was on the Strategic Initiative Fund committee this last year, one of the things we talked about was whether or not we should make things required or not. And what are some of the problems that also happen when things are required? Like, are people less engaged on their own because then they feel that they're being forced to do it? And so one of the culture questions I think that we continue to struggle with is which of these things, how do we make these things part of the fabric in ways that people want to engage without anything being a required type of action? Because statistically that doesn't always end up working out and can backfire. So I think our bigger task is how do we actually make people want to engage on their own? And I think we're trying to figure that out. I think each little piece adds to that. But I think even having the conversation about how do we get people engaged is important.
And to add to that, Ricky, when we talk about orientation of new staff and new faculty, we certainly have talked about, do we give them a shot of our culture, so to speak? Not that it's required, but it's an awareness that we start spreading, starting with new hires.
So for faculty development, we kind of sometimes we kind of complain about we are kind of doing all this kind of work, but do faculty kind of come or kind of the attend our events? I think rather than just kind of making a kind of the requirement, I mean, this year we implemented a certification. Just if you attend certain number, we will kind of give some certification. So that's kind of the incentive. Another way that we want to kind of handle that is just kind of put our workshops in different formats, just kind of to put in webinar or kind of record them so that the faculty at their own kind of time just kind of can listen. Even though culture kind of it's the strategy or the kind of the structure, I think that there's something to be said about the structure as well, is that our workshops are on Thursdays, and on Tuesdays, there is no lunchtime. And starting next year, we will have kind of the lunchtime, hopefully having that kind of structure in place where we are going to signal that the faculty development and intellectual exchange are important, and we provide space for that will be a long way. And finally, I think that the faculty and staff probably will like to look up their leaders to see that where their events. I think that if they kind of see that the vice chancellors or the deans and directors are attending that events, I think that the more faculty will be kind of interested in. So we will love to see you in our events, Chancellor. Thank you.
For first generation fellows, it's sort of echoing what Ricky had mentioned, but giving our students, our faculty and staff an incentive, their own buy-in to participate and engage in the programs. And that is as simple as you make or break someone's day. So it's as simple as you could be the first person a student meets on campus or anyone meets on campus, and what matters is how you make that person feel. A simple smile, hello, walking by and showing someone, you can tell when someone's lost. And I advise them that you are a student leader. If someone is, kind of aimlessly walking, hey, ask them, do you need some help finding a place to here on campus? So for us, our training for our students, for the First Gen Fellows is, what is the space that you're creating? And you are very important and very vital to that space. And so it's important that you look at it as it's your home, your second home. And if someone were to come into your home, you would say hello, you would greet them, you'd be welcoming, and you'd show them around and how you could be a great host. So that's how it is for First Gen Fellows as far as how we're trying to move forward.
Another thing too that I think is important is the continuation of having so many different events being offered, and just it's not a one-time thing. So we didn't do Roots of Change once and we're like, boom, fixed it. Like, everybody's empathetic now. You're welcome. We did that one and we came back together. We said, okay, this was sort of an experiment, right? The first one, is this stuff that we came up with going to work? Are people going to do it? And I mean, this is the banner. Like I said, we'll roll this out. And so just to see all the cards on there and to see people actually interacting, we said, okay, it worked, but how can we make it better? So then we did it again. We did it a few different times, and there's still improvements that can be made to any of this. And that's why for our program, we called it a learning lab. And rather than just a workshop or something like that, because we wanted people to take things with them. In the fourth, was it the last one where we did the touchback thing? So folks could write down a little, or what do we call it? touchback card, or I forget what we called it, but they could say, yeah, a personal challenge. Like, I want to challenge myself to, invite a staff member, a fellow staff member that I don't know very well, to coffee, like in the next month or something like that, or reach out to a person, or just get away from my desk for 5 minutes to chat with people in my suite. And then we typed all of those up if they wanted to have someone else, like a buddy, to do that with them. And then we emailed that out to folks, I don't know, a month or so after. Hey, have you done this yet? If not, this is just a reminder to get it done. Like, things to just keep people thinking about all of these topics is really important, because it's not, it would be great if it was a one and done thing, but I think something that is prevalent on all of the presentations today was everything was continuing. So there's always going to be, faculty development. Ricky, you have sort of, gone through all these different phases of your piece. Jane's having 4 different sessions. It takes a lot of work, and so I think blending it into our culture, if people just see, okay, these things are always going to be there, and that also shows that it's important to the university, because it isn't just we tried it, that fixed it. It's not just a checkbox anymore. It's something that we keep on doing.
I want to start by saying I stole the little touchback comfort zone thing from that Roots of Change in my Drinks and Dialogue. At the very end, I put a little, hey, do you need a buddy to check in with? And I completely stole it from you guys. So there's also that energy. I think one of the things that's showing up is we're seeing more energy around things that are continuing. And though they might evolve a little, they haven't just been a one time and then disappear. The nice thing about the Strategic Initiative Fund, it was a multi-year thing. So the workshops that Jane's doing, the Courageous Conversations, it's a number of years, and the intention is a train the trainer model, right? That if you have some cohorts going through this year, that, years down the road, you'll have enough energy where people are bringing others in. I'm curious hoping other people have signed up. I signed up. I can't wait to go. It sounds really great. And I'd love to see a lot of our leaders on campus really doing this work and kind of getting some of those tools a little bit more, because we all have to be part of the conversation. So I think momentum is really important here, and it seems to be starting to move a little. So I appreciate the funding, too, that's been going on.
With that, I believe we're just about out of time. If we could once again give a round of applause to all of the speakers.